Hello everyone, hope you guys are having a great day out there. Earlier this year, I saw several types of articles and pictures being thrown around on YouTube and news outlets, but there was a little bit of detail that I felt was missing, which I believe is necessary to cover, and that is why I am making this video to discuss what issues are still present here. The first biggest culprit to get out of the way first is that a majority of track and field athletes don't earn the luxury salaries we see like Usain Bolt and others in popular sports. And you might look at these flashy salaries and think, well, why is this athlete getting paid more than that athlete who has a longer career? But most people fail to take into account the countries that some of these athletes are from. And in actuality, relative to where the host country they are representing, I would argue by saying that they might have a much better quality of life with your salaries over there. Let's take, for example, Shelly and Fraser Pryce. Her net worth is around $5 million according to Celebrity Net Worth. But here is the thing, $5 million in Jamaica can get you more access to a lot of things than $5 million in the United States, UK, and even Europe. And also, it can get you a degree of political power in local politics if flexed the right way, because not a lot of people are making this type of money in Jamaica. I'd even compare people like Shelly Ann as billionaires with respect to that type of status over there because it's a lot. And you might think, well, why don't I move to Jamaica? And that is for a totally separate topic on another channel. The country itself, in my opinion, gets a lot of bad rep. Obviously, if you are not from there, it will be harder to maneuver around from point A to point B. And in certain areas, you don't want to be the type to stand out. But anywhere you go really, even in the United States, it is still wise to know your surroundings. Now, the average income in Jamaica is about $2,500 versus the United States with around $30,000, according to the Census Bureau. And $30,000 really cannot buy you much in the US. And I don't care what anyone says, but for an individual making that much per year in the US is pretty much close to the poverty line because those earnings have not caught up to inflation by many years. And even given that the current inflation rate stands at around 8% this year in the US. Now, if you decide to take that $30,000 and go overseas and live in a second and third world country, then good for you. And yes, you can even stretch your standards of living further. Those are things I wanted to get out of the way first before I jump into other athletes. I also wanted to mention that most athletes who are pro in track and field make around 50 to 60K a year in the West, and most work second jobs or have multiple side hustles. Now, you can try to get by with 50 to 60K with a roommate, but definitely not around huge markets in America like California or parts of New York. And there are also athletes that make even less than 50K in the US. Take into consideration events like the shot put not being as popular as compared to the sprint events. But again, the biggest takeaway I want to leave most people here is to consider the country that those athletes are from and where they rank in the world with respect to GDP, because $1 in country X is not the same as country Y at the end of the day. Now, I want to switch my focus into net worth of several athletes. I'll start with Shericka Jackson. She has a net worth somewhere between 1 to 2 million, but I actually think it is much higher than that when you look at what she has accomplished in 2022. Her counterpart, Elaine Thompson-Herah, has a net worth of about 5 million, which is pretty close to Shelly. Now, my thing is, while you are an athlete, make use of earned income so you can make it work for you towards retirement. But with that said, I am betting these Jamaican ladies have side hustles already around tourism and real estate, as those are big economies over there. And since all these ladies are now with Team Puma along with Elaine, who came on board within a year, they are brand ambassadors for the company and they get rewarded handsomely out of it. Now we will dive into the most popular United States female athletes. And again, when looking at these salaries between the US and Jamaica, I frankly would consider it comparing apples and oranges. It does not make any sense comparing those two countries. Now on the American side, we have Allyson Felix. She has a net worth between $5 and $7 million. She also recently started her own shoe line targeted towards women, retired from track and field, and focused on business at this very moment. More than likely, I won't be surprised if she comes out with a book and does speaking engagements as well. Now, my thoughts about American athletes is, again, most do not get paid much in comparison to other popular sports. And don't get me wrong, a few million is still a lot of money, but to consider how much work you have to train and stay in shape for the entire year is a challenge, just like other athletic sports. Overall, I think it's a good thing seeing how an athlete like Allyson Felix has so much things out there to keep her busy, and quite possibly she could even end up making more money, assuming she's successful, as all that time and energy is now focused into a productive area. The next athlete I have on my list is many people's favorite, especially on my channel, and that is McLaughlin. Her reported net worth is about $2 million, and I hope it is more than that. Actually, keep in mind she also received prize money from breaking 1 to 2 records this year, and from my understanding, her endorsement deal is still with New Balance. And you have to keep in mind that living in America is expensive. $2 million can burn up pretty quick depending on where you live, especially if it is a place like California, where the average home could cost you between $1 to $2 million, for example. But I am not sure how accurate these numbers are because, again, quite honestly, $2 million is very small for what she has accomplished within her career, and at $2 million would put her in comparison to the new pro star Abby Steiner. Now, I know that Abby Steiner comes with a lot of criticism on this very subject, but she is pretty popular in the social media space, as I have explained in many videos, which means that people are still typing her name into the search bar as I am talking right now. And the thing with Steiner is I cannot wait to see her go international next year, as I think that ship will blow up championships, Diamond League, and several of the world athletic circuits going on in those respective areas. So it was a smart move for Puma to sign her up, and they really got a good deal from it. And last but not least is ShaCarri Richardson. Her net worth is somewhere around $250,000 to $500,000, which is not bad for a 100-meter runner. Now granted, ShaCarri Richardson has ran the 200 meters, but clearly her race is the 100 meters. And if she improves next year, then I think she can do well. And from my understanding, there are several product lines that were brought into her attention. I recall this past July, there were allegedly a vapor company that was offering to pay her $250,000. It is still unclear if that deal went through, but regardless, there are still deals being passed her way. I'm hoping for a stronger year in 2023 for these athletes, including Richardson.